So yeah, I'm not an expert in brain science. So what I did is I basically just interviewed people who were, and like psychologists, sociologists, and some like actually brain science nerds. And that has been part of the pushback I've gotten, which I totally get. It's like, oh, just a minute. Like, why is it important for this topic to understand the brain, right? Why can't we just read the Bible? And I don't want to overstate the case because, of course, for millennia, Christians got by fine not knowing what was going on in our brains, right? But a lot of it I did find helpful, just kind of to explain some of our lapses when it comes to willpower and temptation. And I was just struck repeatedly at how like what I was reading about these sociological studies and stuff really just mirrored and affirmed what scripture already says about human nature. Right? Like for instance, like the studies on willpower. So about 20 years ago, there's this big study that basically shows that willpower, that is your ability to hold out against temptation or do something really difficult, is a finite resource. It runs out. So they did this big experiment where people had to work on this math problem. But beforehand, they divided the group in two. One group went in fresh. The other group had to sit in a room with freshly baked cookies, resisting the cookies before doing the math problem. And the group that had to resist the cookies first lasted like 1/3 the time doing the math problem as the other group. So basically what researchers concluded was there's this thing called willpower. It's finite, it's depletable, and you kind of get weaker as you go. And as a Christian, of course, I wasn't terribly surprised because I'm like, oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's how the Bible describes us as fallen, finite creatures. Spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. I think it's why we're commanded to flee temptation rather than stick around and fight it. So anyway, things like that, I found there's like a lot of very complementary between what I was reading in the literature on this topic and what the Bible teaches us about it.
So it sounds like you're saying that the Bible's not enough. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm so glad that was the takeaway from what I said.
I also heard something about cookies, but I'm not.
Anytime you write a book, you're basically saying the Bible's not enough, right?
This is true.
Add this to
That's
yourself.
true. That's true. No, like people.
And look how many books Drew has.
Yeah, look at all those books that are not the Bible.
Wow. Look at my lack of faith behind me.
Yeah, what percentage of those books are the Bible? Like,
most of them are Bibles. Okay, don't look too carefully.